The story continues as the group decides to celebrate their promotion by going out for fun. However, Romantica notices that Desire doesn't seem happy about it. She explains that after the break, they will be part of the Alpha class and they will have no time to have fun. Pram, full of enthusiasm, encourages Desire to enjoy himself, and eventually, Desire gives in and decides to have some fun. They head to the shopping mall where Romantica takes the opportunity to try on various new clothes. The guys evaluate her appearance, but Desire doesn't seem overly impressed. He casually comments that she looks good in everything, which annoys Romantica. In response to his lack of excitement, she decides to try on even more new stuff. This time, Desire starts giving her several compliments, making Romantica happy about herself. However, her joy is short-lived when she realizes that Desire is actually talking about Pram, who is also trying on new clothes. Scene changes and we see Desire finds himself in an awkward position, barely holding himself, as Pram takes an eternity to pick out a tie. Pram contemplates the colors and their meanings, making Desire signal to Romantica with his eyes that he needs help. She tells him it's impossible because they can't do anything about Pram's indecisiveness. After some time, they finally manage to get Desire a tie. Romantica even complains that Pram took much more time to pick his stuff compared to herself. They notice a new store and get excited to go inside. Desire thinks they're too energetic when suddenly Aziz calls his name. Desire is surprised to see her, and she asks if the shopping mall doesn't suit her. Desire denies, and Aziz explains that sometimes she needs a change of pace. Desire then invites her to join them in the arcade, but she turns serious, thinking it's a chance for revenge in the ranking battle. Desire tries to explain that it's just for fun, and Aziz replies that she was kidding. Still, nobody really knows because she's always serious. She accepts the invitation, and they decide to join Pram, who's trying to get some plush from the arcade machine. He happily manages to get his teddy bear, but they freak out when they notice Desire alongside Aziz. They angrily ask what she's doing there, and Desire simply mentions that she will have fun with them. Suddenly, Aziz picks up Pram and places him by Desire's side. She asks if everything is better, and Pram quickly turns from angry to happy, telling her to join them and have fun. Romantica can't believe this and calls him a traitor. Desire then notices something and points at it, asking if they should play it. They form teams, but Pram complains that he wants to be on Desire's team instead of Aziz. Desire laughs and says they can be together next time, but Romantica gets serious as they're about to start the game. Everyone turns serious, and Desire tells Romantica that they're about to face the top swordsman and a magic knight from the academy. Therefore, she can't let her guard down. Romantica looks at Pram, who starts showing off his aura and promises to finish the game quickly so he can join Desire's party. The disc hits the air hockey table, and Pram strikes it. Desire thinks it's too fast but manages to defend. Aziz tries to score, but Romantica hits the disc and uses her wind magic to score a point. Pram and Aziz can't believe they just got beaten. They look at Romantica, who shows her wind aura and asks if they dare to challenge her. However, Desire knows he's doomed and tells her that magic is forbidden. Still, Aziz decides to also go serious. She hits the disc, but Romantica thinks it's too easy. Aziz suddenly uses her ice magic to create a wall and change the disc's direction. Pram thinks this point was quite amazing, and Desire realizes that Aziz hates to lose. However, that only motivates Romantica to give it her all. Everyone uses their abilities to play the game, reminding Desire of their skills from his past life. This allows Aziz's team to score a point. They keep playing, and Romantica asks Desire to pay attention as the disc is coming their way. Aziz uses her ice magic, but Desire uses his skill to reverse the ice and smashes the disc straight into their net. Aziz can't believe it but asks if he's finally taking it seriously. Desire simply replies that the game is about to start. After having so much fun, it's time to part ways. Desire thanks Aziz for hanging out with them, but she reveals that it was nice to have some fun. Romantica is pretty happy because they won't see Aziz in the near future. Pram and Desire are confused by that statement because not only are they in the same class, but Desire also invited her to train with them. Romantica realizes her mistakes, admitting that she forgot about it. In the following days, they finally enter the Alpha classroom and notice that it looks much better than the Beta one. Pram is also happy because he got a tablet to help with study, but it has a wallpaper of Desire. Romantica is happy with all the conditions, but she's shocked to see Desire, who tells her it's time for their morning training. They head back to their training room with Aziz and start warming up. Aziz is assigned to train her sword skills with Pram and manages to block the attacks. Desire then shows her the magic control training that he made Romantica do. Aziz lifts the ball to put it on the other circle but fails midway. Romantica uses this chance to show off, she lifts the ball, moves it at high speed, and suddenly stops when it reaches the circle. She is proud to finally beat Azist until Desir brings out 5 more balls. Her task is to control them at the same time and do the same. She manages to do it, but Desir doesn't stop there. He brings out a total of 10 balls, but she uses them to get revenge on him. However, during the training period, Romantica starts giving Azist some tips on how to control her magic. By the end of the session, Azist realizes that Desir developed an optimal training that suits everyone's abilities. Desir tells her they will continue their training after class, and Azist leaves. However, Romantica is completely exhausted. She complains that this session was too harsh, but Desir replies that they have no time left. She asks if what he told them in the other days is true, and Desir confirms that their next battle will be a real one. If they make a wrong move, it could cost them their lives. Despite being rough, he wants them to be stronger. Pram claims that he trusts Desir, and Romantica also gets up, mentioning that she doesn't doubt him. During class, the teacher explains that humanity is still at war in Shadow Worlds. She reveals that this calamity happens once a year and engulfs their whole world. That's the reason why their world lost half of its land. However, their current Shadow World subjugating rate is nearly 99.9%. She explains that's thanks to being able to use magic gems, which are crystallized mana that can be obtained by clearing Shadow Worlds. However, they contain a huge amount of mana and cannot be used as they are. 50 years ago, the Tower of Magic managed to find a processing technique that allowed them to use magic gems. As a result, that mana was produced to benefit humanity, creating trains, tablets, phones, among other things. She asks if someone knows who created this processing technique and picks Romantica to answer. However, it turns out she was asleep during class and didn't know the answer for a question she didn't hear. Desir helps her by saying it was Zod Exarian, the master of the tower. The teacher confirms it's the right answer, and Desir teases her, telling her she needs to pay attention in class. Romantica complains about how hard his training sessions are, but he laughs it off, and the class ends. Desir's group goes up to the teacher. She doesn't know their names, but Desir introduces himself. The teacher realizes he's the student from the beta class who became a single ranker. She thinks he might have some questions. However, Desir has a different request for her. Initially, she believes he might want sponsorship for his party. After all, every party can ask for sponsorship from the Academy or the Tower of Magic. But she points out that the application period for sponsorship is already over. Desir corrects her, stating that's not what he's asking for. He pulls out a paper and tells her that's his request. As the teacher reads the paper, she finds it odd because it's a commission form. She notices it's for the protection of the Magic Tower of Hireli Branch. The professor is confused, but Desir steps in to clarify. He explains that the Academy should be able to give a commission to each party. The teacher acknowledges this, and Desir then asks her to grant them that commission. However, she rejects the request because she doesn't see a reason for it. Puzzled, she questions why he wants the commission he just brought up. Desir, undeterred, asks if the magic stone named Tear of Rejournal is kept inside the Hireli Tower branch. The teacher's reaction is strange, and she asks him how he knows such a secret. Desir calmly replies that in 10 hours, a group of people, known as the Outers, will attempt to steal it. Hearing this, the teacher is not only surprised but genuinely shocked. She contemplates the secret item and wonders how Desir, who was a beta class student just a few days ago, knows so much. Desir claims he doesn't have the time to explain because, if the commission isn't accepted, the magic stone will be stolen. He urges her to reconsider and give them the commission because she's the only person who can prevent the theft. 10 hours later, the Master of the Tower of Magic receives an urgent message reporting an attack on the Hireli branch. The Master, initially skeptical, realizes that everything Desir mentioned is true. To confirm, he checks his tablet where Desir's file is open. Looking at it, he wonders who Desir is. This brings an end to our episode.